Hello and welcome to the 2025 Season 3 Week 11 Track Guide by Team Conti Sim Performance. We are here with the NASCAR NextGen car at Darlington, and unlike all of the other track guides I've done, we've got a couple special guests in this session. They are our lovely AI friends, and we're going to use them to demonstrate some of the dirty air problems that Darlington is so known for in the next gen era. So shout out to my AI friends. We'll be leveraging them throughout this session. I'm going to do an abbreviated run in this one, really just to focus more so on getting out of the car and showing you some things from the third person point of view. So we'll do like a 10 lap run or so, get in some traffic, show some different things there. And yeah, and then we'll break it down outside the car. Of course, pit in, pit out. That's very important at Darlington, so we'll make sure to cover that as well. But yeah, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and set this tracker here. Not that it's really going to matter too much for this one. And we'll get started. And I will say, I got a plug. Please like and subscribe to our channel. The more engagement we can get with these videos, the more broadly they can be cascaded when we make them public midweek. So we appreciate anybody's help and helping us get there. So thank you for that in advance. We'll go ahead here and merge into turn 3. A couple of housekeeping items. So gear choice this week, you're going to be 4th gear in turns 3 and 4, as we've got a bunch of wobblers up here, some would say. 4th gear through 3 and 4, 5th gear through 1 and 2, and all the way down the back. Darlington, as you can see right there, yeah, this is a very, very difficult track to pass at. This Dave guy, much slower than I am, but still I have to really be careful with where I pick my spot to pass, or else we'll get off a turn 2 side by side, and if Dave isn't exactly confident in his ability and what he's doing, we could very well end up in a crash. So just have to be patient here. I'm approaching auto. Auto's a big deal at iRacing, but this is the AI version, and you'll see right there I just back up the center a little bit so I can get the run on exit and clear him into turn 3. And before the end of this run, if I don't naturally find some other cars, I'll back up and we'll show some ways to combat the dirty air. But let's get a couple clean laps here first. So 1 and 2, it's just a brief lift on entry. A little bit of brake goes a long way. Honestly, I'm probably not even lighting it up at the beginning of this run, but a little bit of brake helps set the nose, gets it turned into 1. You're going to use a lot more brake into 3. It's the much narrower and slower end of the track, so a lot of good sustained brake into 3. See right there, just a quick lift. Just maybe clip the apron on entry, and then you start throttling up back up the hill. It's almost like a double apex corner. You've got that first apex when you clip the apron, and then farther around the corner you've got the second apex, which sets you up to descend off the wall back down to the bottom and to make the exit of turn 2. Turn 3, you've got some different options. You can run middle, you can run top, but what I've found over the last couple of years is that wrapping the bottom fairly aggressively, getting that left front right on the hash marks, seems to be the best way to go. Really allows you to carry a lot of speed through the center and make some good passes. You can see right here that wall juts out into 3 where the safer barrier starts. Get down to the bottom and then just slide up a little bit in the center. That'll be more noticeable outside the car. Get back down as far down as you can go on exit, and then slowly increase throttle until you can get wide open. Very easy to slide the back end of the car out of 4 as you're coming up off the bottom and approaching the wall. So moral of the story there is just don't rush that gas. Left front right on that hash mark. Like I said, you can go up the track, you can do some different things. I think that'll definitely open up as the track gets rubbered in and that bottom gets more worn out. But ultimately, bottom is very good. 1 and 2, line's not going to move around too much. Maybe like a wider entry, almost Hamlin-Larson-esque, where they stay much closer to the wall, entry to center, which allows them to have a better angle coming off, carry more speed. That might be a thing. I'll try to demonstrate it right here. Probably won't be faster. You'll see instead of getting anywhere near the bottom, I shoot to get the left front on that first seam, and then you'll see there I'm driving around the rest of the corner, not quite wide open, but fairly close to it. I can keep a lot more throttle in it versus getting all the way to the bottom and then having that big slide up moment. It looks like Terrence is quite a way up the road, so what I'll do is I will slow down a little bit. And let these guys back by. And I'll just go over briefly some ways to combat the dirty air. Hopefully these guys have found a little bit more pace since I passed them the first time. It's always a guessing game with setting the AI strengths, so might have undershot that a little bit, but we'll make do. Really just trying to hit all of the important points in this video, consolidate it a little bit, and make sure we're giving you guys the tools you need to be successful. Alright, so let me back up a little bit more so I can get a run up on them. Alright, this should be pretty good right here. So as always, when you're in dirty air, your goal is to not sit right behind the car or cars in front of you. You want to find clean air. And we can see here that Dave is committed to running the top, which means that I've got all of the clean air in the bottom. So the last thing I want to do is ride directly in Dave's tire tracks. So even in 1 and 2 right here, I'm going to enter a little bit lower, and then instead of getting all the way out to the wall, I'm going to keep the left front just about a half a car width lower. He's a little wobbly there, so it's not exactly 1-to-1 versus racing a human, but I think you get the point. Keep that left front poked out if you're running lower. If you're going to run higher, try to get the whole front of the car exposed in clean air. That half a car thing that works with the left front doesn't exactly work when you're poking out the right front. I'll try to find an opportunity with Ben here, or maybe Otto. He's not far up the road. We'll see if I can get a full car width higher than them to show that. So again, he's running the top in 3 and 4, so the last thing I'm going to do is get anywhere directly behind him. He's pretty slow right here, so I don't know if I can show the top. Like right here, full clean air. Now I'm going to cross the wake. I want to get below him and get clean air on the nose to finish the corner. As little time as I can spend crossing the wake or sitting in the wake, the better. The longer you sit in that dirty air, the more you heat up your tires. Of course, more heat equals more wear, and beside that, your lap time is just going to be really compromised. Trying to make a run up to Mr. Zabini up here. He might have fresh tires though, so we'll see if we can catch him in a decent amount of time. If not, we'll do pit road entry, get out of the car. I think we're going to get there. Again, lots of brake pressure sustained into and through the center of 3 and 4. Trail braking is absolutely necessary to keep that nose pointing and wrapping the bottom. Got to be very disciplined on your throttle. Center off of 2, really easy to either jump in the gas too quick and shove the right front off, or shear the right rear on exit. Still in complete clean air right here. Auto is not affecting me in any way. As I get to about a second behind, which should be in about 2 to 3 laps, then I'll start to feel some dirty air effects. Again, in 1 and 2, there's really not any other place to go besides just pinch off the corner a little bit and run lower. It's going to hurt my lap time a bit, but it's still better than running directly behind him. 1.7 back here, so should still be in clean air. But by the time I get to 1 and 2, I'm going to be just about that 1 second mark, and I'll start to feel it. Directly in the wake. I can feel a little tighter. I think the tracker supports it right there, just a couple hundredths off. Now if I go in here and I sit directly behind him, I'm going to have no turn. No turn, no turn, no turn. As soon as I turn down, I've got a ton of turn and the thing wants to rotate all at once. In 1 and 2. As he... Well, I thought he was going to slide up. He didn't slide up. But if he would have slid up right there, then he would have made me really tight and I would have had to bail out of the gas. Alright, so we're going to let these guys know that we're pitting here. It's a very difficult pit road entry. I'll be surprised if I get this on the first attempt. There we go. Way down off the track. And I did it. Go me. Alright, so we'll come down pit road here. And I'll pass the pit box. We're going to pretend like I'm doing pit road speed. Just want to show that pit out. Get back to pit road speed, 45. Alright, so hard acceleration. Need to make sure you stay below this yellow line here. You cannot go to the right side of that. You'll get an unsafe pit exit. Merge at the cone right here. Watch the transition up to the track. Make sure you're clear, and that was a pretty good sequence overall. Really good pit in. Very easy to lose your reference points because you are way away from the commitment line, which isn't exactly that, but this right here, very hard to spot it. Very easy to lose time down there by being too conservative or by being too aggressive and blowing the entry altogether. Okay, so we'll do like a hot lap first. Gotta break that down, see what I'm doing at both ends, and then we'll look at a couple of those dirty air moments and just talk about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, just to really reiterate what's going on there. So let's go to the 68. Again, this is not the best lap in the world, but it's still pretty representative of what you'll be looking at this week. So into turn 1. Biggest thing is make sure you're tight to the wall. A lot of people, they get really caught up in trying to think ahead and say, okay, ooh, when I get to this corner, what do I do? And they start coming off the wall way back here. In their right front, instead of being here, is here. And that pinches their entry, and then that makes it really hard to have any good front rotation to make this first apex and to then drive up the hill with any type of positive front rotation. So step 1 into turn 1, make sure you're up against the wall. That should be a given with any oval track with this type of straightforward entry, but it's apparently hard to do. So make sure your right side is at the wall. I start coming off the wall while I'm still full throttle, and then I'll lift. It's a quick lift. Make sure I get some good front rotation here. And then I'll start to pick it up even before I get to the first apex. So it's an early lift, and then it's a quick reapplication of throttle, but it's not back to 100. It's not even anywhere close to that. It's just slowly feeding throttle back into it as I'm assessing, okay, as I increase throttle, does it feel like I've got front turn, or does it feel like I need to back the throttle back out because I don't have the front turn? So if you see me continuing to increase throttle here, that means that the front is compliant and it's turning. If I back throttle back out, that means that I might need to use a little less because I don't have that turn. And then eventually, as we get farther around turn 1 and 2 here, I'm going to really have to come out of the throttle to make that second apex and that turn off the wall back down to the bottom. So as I'm driving up the hill here, max throttle is probably about 65, 70%. Maybe 75, 80. But that's pretty much where it's going to be. And then you see it comes out a little bit here as I get to my highest point. And then right around this sports clip sign, that's usually sport clips sign, it's usually where I start to turn back down. You can see I'm starting to come off the wall now with about 50% throttle kept in it. And I'll keep that 50% throttle until I feel like I can increase. Later on around the corner, I've now increased. And finally full throttle at about the 3/4 mark of the corner. Very, very easy to want to rush throttle throughout this whole corner. On the way up the hill, people try to go to 100% throttle, and they have to back out of it really aggressively to turn back down. There is no need to go to 100% throttle anywhere in here. Do not do that, because the more throttle you use here, the more you're going to have to back out of it in that second apex. You don't want to do that. Just keep that plateaued throttle, come out a little bit, get the thing turned down, back off the corner. Again, this is all in 5th gear. Going into 3. You see this wall poke out a little bit here. Just going to lift right before that and brake. 30% brake pressure. Immediately downshifting, very, very early downshift. And then right to the bottom. Want to enter turn 3 with the left front almost on these hash marks. A little bit of a slide up in the center as I roll off the brake. Free roll in the center, and then slowly start to work throttle, all the while getting this left front right back to the white line. If you try to exit like in the middle here, if you don't commit to one lane or the other, you're going to be a little bit tight center, and then the thing's going to snap loose off. So you're going to be tugging on the wheel, and then you're going to catch a seam at the right rear, and it's going to yank the back end around. So make sure that you have a good free roll moment in the middle of 3 and 4. Really get that center of the corner speed down. Don't rush it. And then work that throttle back into it. Throttle is not a light switch. It's progressive. Use it to your advantage. And straight up off the corner. And back to 5th gear, right at about the start-finish line or slightly past it. Looking at some of this dirty air stuff. Again, these AI fellas are a little slow, but try to explain this here, even with their bad driving. So right here, I'm at a terrible aero spot. Okay, let's start with that. I am right behind the bottommost car, that is Ben. And I had already crossed the wake of the top car, which is Dave. So I have had no clean air at any point in turn 3 and 4. So this is all compromised. Entry to exit's compromised. It's hard not to be compromised when you're at a 2.5 groove track and you've got guys running too wide. It's really nothing you can do. I could have been disciplined and run the bottom, but I think I was just getting up to speed. So coming off of 4 here, Ben is slow, so we get around him. And now as I go into turn 1, you can already see that I've brought the car off the wall a little bit more than I did on my clean lap. And I've offset myself slightly to the left of Dave. Hey, hi, Dave. So I am doing whatever I can, given the very small window I have to work within, to get clean air on this car. Entry to turn 1 is always tough to begin with. The car is naturally tight. So anything I can do way back here to try to get some clean air on the left front is going to pay dividends throughout the rest of the corner. So all the way through this entry, I'm a headlight lower, headlight lower. Now eventually I'm probably going to have to cross the wake of that leading car. It's just inevitable. But for the most part, I'm going to try to stay lower in this corner. It's compromised. It's a compromised line. I couldn't make as much lap time on a clean track by doing this, but given the dirty air situation, this is 100% better than going up here where I would by myself and then trying to cross back under him on exit all the way through the dirty air. Left front is exposed the whole time until right about there. He pulls off the wall a little bit abruptly, but then I try to correct and get it lower. And now I'm in a terrible spot. If he was a competent AI driver and running a good pace, I would lose time to him off the corner 100% because I'm in probably the worst aero situation. Directly behind him with a slight offset to the right. So I've got a little bit of clean air going to the right front, but that's honestly not really a help. If anything, that just kind of makes me tighter, or so I feel. And then eventually when I cross back under him, I'm going to take that right front out of the clean air, whatever positive benefits I have there. Again, I feel like it's not much to begin with. I'm going to go from a little clean air to absolutely no clean air at a point in the corner at which, I'm full commitment, full send, trying to stay off the wall. It's just no good. You can see right here, I do my best to make sure that I exit lower than the leading car to ensure that I don't cross back over at the very end of the corner, and then make the move on the bottom. Typically you're not going to have a, what did he run? 16. You're not going to have like a half a second delta to cars around you. It's not going to be that easy to pass. When you're running within a tenth or two of somebody, factor in the dirty air, it's going to be hard to pass. That's why you've got to be really deliberate and exact with where you place your car. Again, back here we've got AI auto up here. I'm going to have to cross over the wake, but I make sure that I exit lower. So I entered lower. I sustained lower through the 3/8 mark. He's so slow it's nearly impossible to stay lower, but then at the end of the corner, again where I'm full send, back lower getting the clean air. So again, as we look at this right here, you do not want to be directly behind the leading car as long as you can help it. Again, it's inevitable at some point you're going to cross that wake. Just try to minimize it as much as you can. Darlington is very narrow, very, very tough to get out of it, but when you can, you'll notice it and you'll make more lap time. All right, let's look at this pit in and pit out. So you pretty much enter the corner normally. Like your lift point is normal, but instead of doing that 25-ish% sustained brake pressure, you go to 75, 80%, and you do what you can to bleed speed off. Enter close to the bottom, slide up a bit in the center as long as there's nobody behind you, and then as always, make sure that you make this exit off the track as straight as possible to not upset the underbody of the car. This is your guide right here from within the car. This is your reference point to know that you have made pit road entry properly. If you get way around this corner and this yellow pit in line is to the left of you and not in front of you or to the right of you, you know you've missed pit road entry. There's very little chance that you can recover if you are over here still not under this line. Unless you have absolutely stopped the car and turned down abruptly, you're not going to make that pit in. So the thing to not do, which a lot of people do when they're a little bit uh, not so confident, I guess, in their pit in, they'll exit the track over here and they'll just wrap this wall through 3 and 4. That's a safe pit road entry. You're guaranteed to make it, but you're going to lose 5+ seconds in the process. And when you think about what that'll do to your position on track, that's going to be a ton of spots that are nearly impossible to make back up. Off the track, a little bit of throttle to settle the rear, drive to the commitment line, and lock it in at 45. Pit exit. This is the yellow line I was talking about from within the car. Make sure you don't cross over it. Get as tight to it as possible to extend your angle of attack on exit. Spot your pit out cone and get a straight shot up off of turn 2. A couple quick notes. Tires are going to be a factor here this week. Again, I didn't do a 30-lap run, but I think this way of doing things might be more beneficial to really hit those most important points. So let me know if we like this adjusted format. If you don't, that's fine too. Let me know so we can continue to iterate into season 4. But tires will be important. Make sure you take tires, but track position will be even more important. So 2 tires are probably going to be a thing. I don't think staying out in old tires is going to be too viable unless it's a really short sprint to the finish, but definitely try that in practice sessions before races. And again, qualifying is going to be super important. Track position is important. Dirty air is terrible. So whatever you can do to stay up front and stay out of the pack, the better your chances of a successful result will be. Other than that, that is Darlington. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Appreciate the support of the channel. Again, like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you can. We want to continue to build this channel to produce even better content moving into the future. Thanks again for watching. Have a great week at Darlington, and we'll see you next time.